The packaging part of everything is so fucking difficult. So to see yours and the way you packaged it, it's almost going to do the truck a disservice to put panels on it.
I know.
Yeah. Well, even I remember when we finished just the rolling chassis and we took the shell off because we built it all and then, took the shell off. Then we welded it for a couple weeks, rolled it outside with no body. And it was like stunning like that because it was all radiused and it looked like a Velar, but there was no body on it. Yeah. So every step is like that layer, but that's what's satisfying as a builder. And I'm sure you guys know, like you could take the thing apart and every bit you get to, you're like, wow. It's not like, oh man, they didn't give a shit because they knew it was hidden here. Yeah. There's not like weird, like upside down Easter eggs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay.
How much do I need to mouth this thing?
Yeah, just like
Is that a mouth?
Yeah, that's
okay. I can feel it there, right there. That's the spot. Is it in your guys' ears?
That's smooth jazz.
Okay. Oh shit.
I apologize to everybody listening to this.
That went deep with everyone.
Oh my God. Welcome back to another episode of Modified with TrickFactory Customs. If this is your first time watching, my name is Elvis.
Up, Tim.
I have to go? Morgan. I'm supposed to go last.
And I'm Rod. So we're currently at a SEMA show. We just got off a podcast with Ash Thorpe and Tim Hicks from Industry Garage. And the SEMA show has been great, but you have probably had a very glorious and busy SEMA show.
Well, I don't know. So we brought out the Dakar prototype, which is our Range Rover project that you guys have seen on TrickFactory. I think that thing did pretty well, but yeah. I don't know how to gauge the SEMA show because it's my first bringing a car to a SEMA show, and I don't have that expectation. I get nervous because I'm like, oh, is it good enough or something? That's my weird insecurities. But I think it's been great. I just don't know what good, better, best looks like for that. We found the wiring guy yesterday, so that's a yay.
I saw you guys playing with some wires on the Instagram account. I was like, oh, are you guys like trying to get that thing running for SEMA or not?
Absolutely not running. Just there's a lot of people are like, oh my God, the airbag's blown out. How's this supposed to, oh my gosh, the turbo isn't hooked up. Yeah, well, it's not running. There's Clecos in it. There's no fenders.
Like, come on, man. Relax, man.
The doors are bungee corded in the back.
Yeah. No, but you got the Dakar prototype in the Baja Designs booth, and
yeah,
I came by it. I was all over it I could have been there all day long. It is an amazing build. Cheers to you for bringing it in the state that it is. Unfinished like that is, in my opinion, and I think probably a lot of people's opinion, especially here in the industry, the way to do it. You get to see all the glorious sexiness of your guys' craftsmanship.
Well, that's the thing that gets covered up. I think there's a term of unfinished, bringing an unfinished vehicle to a SEMA, but I think that's a raw construction vehicle, because that unfinished thing could be like the classic, right? Trucks with no drive shafts and this and that, not hooked up, like really ignorant looking, where it was proposed to look finished, but it's not. And we haven't done that. We've just brought it in its initial phase of where it's at with its construction.
Fair. Yeah. And it looks so good. And there's just been a crowd of people all over it, like the entire show. So I think personally, that's probably one of my favorite cars at the show, even though it's unfinished. So totally. I don't think the unfinished vibe is, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't see anywhere in the rule books that you have to bring a finished running car.
No.
So we're good.
It's insane.
The wiring, all we did is just for Baja Designs, I wanted to have all of our forward-facing, rear-facing, and service lights on for them. Just so it has that presentation. So it's stuff that's going to stay. It's on a S-Pod, which that won't be there. It'll be integrated into the car.
Yep. Yeah. And so, how has, the reception been from your point of view? Because you've probably had to talk to a lot of people, but how has it been from your point of view?
It's been good. Again, I don't have, an expectation. So anything is good. I don't really see much negative. I think the only thing negative is Larry Chen posted, people are asking about literally the airbag is blown out on the steering wheel and stuff like that. So there's that demographic. But overall, a lot of people have been following it, and it's gotten so much reach that it's been a lot of just coming up and saying, looks awesome in person. This is amazing. So glad we could see it. Thank you for bringing it. That kind of stuff. And that's great. I like showing raw cars like that.
I'd say probably for me anyways, I've been following it since for a while now. I'm usually in your comments every day. So to see it in person, I would say it's probably one of the top 5 cars that did not, it looks better in person than it does on the internet. Generally, it's the other way. You get there and you're like, oh, damn it, I really like this thing, but it's a pile of shit.
Yeah.
Whereas that one, dude, the hours in that thing is crazy.
I think we're at 1,800.
Yeah,
But that's not that bad if you think about it.
Bad overall, but I mean, just looking at it, it's like committing to some of your ideas is that would be hard to do. Because you always back it up based on, but like to follow it all the way through, and like it's incredible, dude.
Thank you.
It looks really good.
Thank you. And that's our thing. Like all of my clients and anybody, that's like the number one thing, how much better it looks in person, which is a great thing.
You can't ask for more than that.
No, that's awesome. I haven't heard the backwards or
And
people
especially
just don't
from
say it.
here, like you're here with all the other guys that are doing the same thing. So when they say it, it means something. Like when you leave here, you're like, okay, sick.
Totally. Yeah, and I've had, the other thing is too, I have this imposter syndrome. Do you guys know what that is?
Yeah.
Because there's guys like that Chrysler, that gray Chrysler. Who is
I don't
that?
know if I've seen that.
I've seen
It is. It's
about
like
it.
300, right?
It's fucking gorgeous. Yeah, it's like it, but it's
Is it
very muted.
The gray one?
Yeah.
So clean now.
But I went up. I came up there, like my hack on Tuesday was I'm like, I'm going to stay till they close and then I'm going to walk around. And it was fantastic.
That's the way to do
That's the
it.
play.
Oh, there was nobody around.
Yeah.
So I walked with my wife and whatever. And I go over there and this guy comes up and like he's there and he's like, hey, he's like, Morgan, he's like, I love your stuff, this and that. And he's like, I built this. I'm like, why are you knowing me? Like, look what you did. I can't do that. I've never done that. Because it's so stunning. The finish work is so different with like the hot rod stuff. And then I told Ryan, the client, like the owner of the car, I'm like, hey, we're going to have to do more stuff here.
Wow.
Because we need to have this be different than what we were doing. Like, it needs to go harder.
That's the whole thing with SEMA is like, we get so run down in the shop, then you come here like 2 weeks ago, like, man, I don't want to build cars anymore. Then you get here and you're like, okay, let's fucking do this. Like, we're going. So,
Yeah.
And then everybody, even your customer, everybody leaves charged up. Like, the guy the one we brought last year, he wants to come back next year. So it's like, it just feeds the whole thing. So sure, it's cool to be able to see it in person and how much work it is and talk to the guy that built it. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and like you guys were saying, it's really cool that you also, again, share all of this work as you're doing it. Like, that is huge, because then I think that also makes the whole process even seem, because you follow this car, like we've been following for a long time, ever since you started it, and it's really cool to see the evolution of wherever it's come. And I think that also makes people even more excited to see it, even though, again, it's not in a state of completion yet, but people can be like, oh, this guy has worked on it. And there's so much legitimacy behind that, because there's not paper trail, but like of all the videos and all the posts that you've made on it. So
I agree. I think, like we talked about last time, is that revealing thing is kind of a thing of the past. And I think that revealing thing doesn't have that timeless story connection to it. People want to be involved and people want to see that process. That's what's like so inspiring or makes people connected to it. So when you just go, oh, look at this, like that lasts for as long as that lasts.
yeah.
Not when you're like, dude, the car is at SEMA. I need to go see it because it's there. And they've been watching this whole thing.
Yeah, the cool. And a lot of the stuff here, because you see it revealed like that, you tend to work it backwards. Like, you get that initial flash and then you start poking around, and whereas when you do it the way that you've done it, and we're trying to do kind of the similar thing, it's like, I know what's in the inside and I know it's sick. So when I do see the outside, I know the whole thing. Like, whereas a lot of stuff here, it's like, yeah, that's sick, but what the fuck happened over here? Like, so it's disappointing sometimes. So I mean, seeing the layers and as it comes together, like some of the most impressive parts of that truck are going to get hidden.
Yes.
So
yeah.
But for me to know that it's there, it makes the whole thing so much more impressive to me.
Totally. And I think
And then the packaging is, it's crazy.
Wild.
Like, the packaging part of everything is so fucking difficult. So to see yours and the way you packaged it, it's almost going to do the truck a disservice to put panels on it. Like,
I know.
Yeah. Well, even I remember when we finished just the rolling chassis and we took the shell off because we built it all and then, took the shell off. Then we welded it for a couple weeks, rolled it outside with no body. And it was like stunning like that because it was all radiused and like it looked like an SUV.
Yeah.
Like, it looked like a Velar, but there was no
Panels.
no body on it.
Yeah.
So every step is like that layer, but that's what's satisfying as a builder. And I'm sure you guys know, like, you could take the thing apart and every bit you get to, you're like, wow. It's not like, oh man, they didn't give a shit because they knew it was hidden here.
Yeah.
There's not like weird, like upside down Easter eggs.
Yeah, we've been guilty of it in the past, and now we just don't do it anymore.
Sure. And I'm sure it's easier to get away with that stuff with cars because especially if you're not running like a full tube chassis.
Yeah.
You're like, what do I do with all this? There's a lot of
Oh,
sheet
we'll
metal.
just put it over here. Yeah. It's gonna have a trunk panel anyways. It'll be fine.
Yeah, and again, like talking about the sharing, it also gives an insight to the amount of time that you've spent on something because we've talked about it before. Like even like TV shows, automotive TV shows, they build something, but you don't know how much time went into it. Like there's no like, oh, this took 17,000 hours or whatever. Like, but having that little trail is like, okay, he started it when, and you can see the evolution from start to finish, and it gives the audience an idea of like, oh yeah, this has been going on for a long time and it's evolved to a certain state.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
You
that's
can haul an ass on it too.
well. That's the thing. It's
oh my gosh,
it's great. We're 8 months in, so it's very nice to like hold myself accountable because it's the commitment I have with the client. Like we're gonna work on it every week, and you know when we get to these bouts where we have something coming up like the Sand Sports Super Show or SEMA, I'm like, hey, let's bite all this off to get to here, and then we do it, and we're like accountable to it, and so it's like it sets a premeditated goal for myself. And it's the same thing. Like now I'm like, well, I think April we're gonna start plumbing it. So now I have this thing where I'm like, okay,
I gotta get here.
yeah, my brain's already on some kind of autopilot to do it.
But so far with like estimating where you're going to be versus actually getting there, how good are you at that? Or how has it been with that? Has it been accurate?
100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
I think the only thing we're going to miss on is like you saw the new suspension parts on the front, all the machine parts, and we're working on doing the rear trailing arms, and they're much more intricate, and it's been a lot harder for me to manage my time because I do it at home. So getting the trailing arms machined before PRI is probably not going to be a thing. It just needs to go like that and maybe do the intercooler and the cold side of things.
Yeah.
Those control arms are sick though.
Oh my god.
The knife head on the front. Damn.
Yeah,
nice.
So that was what I've been doing at night, and I haven't really done. Sometimes I'll put it on my story every once in a while, but scanned all the stuff that was there, the pre-existing fabricated parts, and then I had my SolidWorks guy Joe. I was like, hey, cut this thing close to the shocks, like make a part in there that's rude, just a crude shape, and let me know my clipping points, and then I'll start sketching it.
Wow.
So I'd start sketching it, and I'd get a couple sheets going, and I'd kind of let Ryan. I don't let a lot of the clients have design input, but Ryan's got good taste, so I know it's a huge investment. So I'll give him a couple sheets, that like I think I kind of explained it. Like a sheet, sheet A would have 8, sheet B would have 8. So he'd be like, I like A4 and I like B3, and I'd combine them, and then I give him like maybe 4 more examples, and we narrow it down. So there was like that process was through all of those parts, and then I'd work with a surfacer. So surfacer would be working during the day. I'd go home, I'd see his emails. He'd have like notes and stuff on there. What does this do? What does this radius look like? How does this taper? And then I'd go, before I went to bed, and I had to make all the adjustments, send that back in. Then he'd make the revision the next day. So that went on for like 2 months straight of just
Back and back
design. Yep, but the end result pays off.
Yeah, it looks incredible in person.
Yeah.
And man, you're just touching on like some such an incredible amount of process that nobody ever sees. Like that's deep.
Those ones, and I caught like a weird injury because I draw on this Wacom tablet.
Yeah.
And I I lift weights, so I would get stuck if I was working too hard in the gym. Then at night, I already worked 10 hour day, and then I get home and I'd be stuck, and I wouldn't realize I was tweaked for 3 hours or something straight, like just pressing buttons with my head all screwed, and sketching. And so then like I'd wake up and be like, and I caught like an injury, like a nerve day. My fingers were like numb for months. So
That's funny.
but yeah, that's kind of what it takes, just because I have to run the shop too.
Yeah.
And it all feels so worth it when you get to this point, and I'm like, get those on there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they click, like they all hit, So the next endeavor is to get those rear trailing arms to do the same thing.
Nice. And he's pretty perceptive to that whole design process.
The client, yeah, he's into it.
Because traditionally it's like we get paid to just do it.
Yeah.
Like they don't understand how long it takes, what the process is, like what's taking so long. I thought you just drew this in the computer. You're like, yeah, you're right, you do, but it takes this long, and then this part's just like such a small part of it. So it's like getting these, like we have a couple customers now that are very excited about the design process. Like they want to be a part of it, or at least see it and follow along where we're at. But traditionally it was like you didn't get paid for that part. Or the hours, I should say, aren't necessarily appreciated. Just the end result.
Yeah, it's a gift to have him, and I think there's that fine line. If you were building some basic part and you were doing that same process, the payoff would not feel as good to the client. But if you know the end result, where you're going to get some sculpted, twisted, non-straight, non-parallel nothing out of those, then he sees like that end result is worth it.
Yeah.
If it was just basic stuff, you'd be like, gee, that sucks. Like, we got these triangular looking things that like I paid 20 grand in R&D on. You know?
Yeah.
Hearing all the parts now that we don't see on camera of like that, or some of it, I'm sure there's still a lot more.
Sure.
Some of it that you don't see is pretty awesome.
Well, even the titanium, that was a new thing because we'd never used titanium. And then I'm like, how do you make it blue? Heat treat, like you do, because I know nothing. I'm always doing stainless. So even that was a thing. And then we
So
started
what made you decide on titanium?
just for the car, for like what it would ask
What it
for.
represents,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, like a lot of exotics, and I think the sound and stuff. And we have we did 321 on the headers just for rigidity, but just for that, it makes sense to me. You know, but learning all that, you know, learning how to heat it and get it colored the way I wanted it, and
It's all these little side quests that takes all the time.
yeah, and preparing to weld it, and you know, there's a process to all of it. I'm like, we're just gonna learn it. Ryan was the one that mentioned titanium. He's like, well, should we do titanium? I'm like, do you know what you're getting in yourself into? He's like, yeah, I have an understanding. I'm like, cool.
I watched the YouTube video. It sure okay.
Looks sick.
Yeah. And so what have been some of your favorite cars at the show? You mentioned the Chrysler. Is that one of them?
Yeah, the Chrysler. There's a Dutch Bros Grand National.
That's a nice car.
Yeah.
That was another
That
guy.
is really nice.
He came up to me on Tuesday and he's like, dude, I love your stuff, this and that. I'm building this Grand National. I'd really like you to see it. And I didn't even know what he was talking about because he's just like my age, like with his wife. I'm like, yeah, totally. I'll go check it out. No big deal. You know, I'm like, Grand National, huh? Okay. And then I go over there. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Holy, dude, there's levels here. And these guys are like operating on these badass levels. And I feel like, I'm like, dude, I feel like I don't belong doing this stuff because it's so impressive.
Yeah, some of these guys are amazingly talented.
Now, given they're getting clients that are willing to, you know, that's a huge part. I think there's a ton of dudes that are super talented. They just don't get that opportunity because they don't have these guys with millions of dollars. And that's part of the ticket.
Well, part of the evolution is like we're sort of encroaching on those customers now, and it definitely opens up a lot more opportunity to explore different things. It's like we may not be able to do it now, but you know, if we get this, we could probably do that. And then they're like, yeah, let's do it. Like
It's like it adjusts the tool set in your brain when you know the budget changes, because then your thinking changes with that budget.
Yeah, because you're usually backing things up to where generally we're eating it. Like, I want to do this, but we're not going to get paid for it, but we got to make it happen. Whereas once you get to a certain point, it's like, yeah, you can do it and you get the charge for it, which you're constantly... Then we end up doing the same thing. Like, oh, we got this much to do this time. We end up giving it all away anyway because we're trying to push it to the next level and push it on to the next guy. And yeah, so we always end up eating it no matter what.
Yeah.
But it's getting crazier and crazier. And the stuff, like some of the stuff here is just absolutely mind-blowing.
Well, I think there's a car that I haven't seen before, but I've noticed it, and one of the guys that's friends do you pronounce the guy Kindig?
Oh, yeah.
Is that how you pronounce that? Because he's got that weird dash with the IT at the end, and I want to say Kindig it, but
Kindig it.
that sounds right.
Yeah. I think he has a show, right?
Yeah.
Called Ken Dig It or
Yeah,
something.
it's Bitch and Ruds.
Yeah.
But one of the guys, like he's that guy's family to him. He came over. He's a metal shaper, and he's like, "Come see this." And he said it was 4.1, the cost on it, but it's an orange car, and it's based off of a 60 or a 53 Corvette.
Oh, that's
One
the
they took
Corvette.
to the Riddler.
Oh my
yeah,
god.
and it's won everything everywhere. But when you look under it and stuff, like,
insane.
it's the most insane car I've ever seen.
I was literally looking under it. I was telling Rob, I was like, Rob, come look at this. Underneath is so amazing.
Yep.
It looks like not like a skeleton, but it's like organic shape.
Perfectly,
It's
perfectly shaped.
It's an unbelievably nice car.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's the one I brought people over. I'm like, you need to see this.
Yeah.
And especially the underside. I'm like, holy shit.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So that's number one, I think, to me. Just I think there's great cars, but that's like where I just see how much work, because then he's got a great presentation where he's got a digital screen that's kind of going through pictures like a process. It's all aluminum. It's insane. And like there's diamonds, and the Dakota Digital worked with them, and they built these clusters and the real diamonds, and like just the way the glass, like it just, that level, I've never even computed building a car like that. You don't see a wire. There's no plumbing.
No.
Like just,
But I mean, one of the big takeaways from seeing stuff like that, and like the Dutch Bros and like that, you know, the Chrysler and these things, like they're sort of so deeply inspiring as a craftsman. Like you're looking at this and you're talking about imposter syndrome, and like we're looking at your shit going, you got it, man. It's just a different way of going, you know, or a different build.
yeah.
But like, you can't not be inspired. You come to SEMA, and this is a big deal, and it's one of the major takeaways that we get from this is having great conversations, but also being, you know, so incredibly inspired. You know, we get fired right up. We go back to the shop, and your objective is to kill it. You know, like, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it does a thing where it auto programs into your brain the stuff you see, and then you apply that stuff into your build process, you know, or add different tools or ways of doing things.
Yeah.
So the Range Rover, is that the only car that your shop is building? Like, is it just all hands on deck on that project, or no?
No, that's only Colin and I. Colin's my lead fabricator, and then Colin pretty much built all the structural stuff in there, and then I've welded everything, and I did all the sheet metal. I have Alex, and I have a new guy, Cody, and then there's about 12 projects in circulation that are in various stages. So some of those are just we're waiting on parts. Some of those are digital stuff, but no, it's just Colin and I. And then there's 4 or so other cars in there.
Wow. So awesome.
But Ryan's the same client. That's like the small job, and then we're gonna build.
You mentioned the V12 Aventador engine or something, but what are you allowed to say what you're doing with that yet?
Totally, yeah. and we're in development stages with that. We're gonna do it different this time, because this way of doing stuff where you take a shell, you find the car that's had a collision, and then you take the shell, and then you gut the shell, and then you have to do all this extra work to try to seal the inside and tie it all in. It's a pain in the ass. So the way we're going to do this big one is it's going to be based off the new 2024 Range Rover Land Rover, like the baller one.
Yeah, that thing is
really beautiful.
Yeah.
We scanned all the exterior, we scanned all the door jambs. So what we'll do is we'll retain the factory doors, we'll retain the headlamps, hatch, tail lamps, you know, all of that stuff that can bolt on, but we're going to carbon all the rocker and, you know, build the wheel opening out and stuff. So it'll represent the same thing as this, but it'll be all carbon, like roof, you know, with pinch seams, returns, and then pickups on the inside, so we can just seal it really easy. And then right where the hinges go, we'll build like from the chassis to pick up on the doors. But that's mid-engine. It won't be rear engine. It'll be mid-engine, and then a McLaren F1 seating. So it'll be center driver, and then right where your hips are will be the knees for your occupants, just like an old F1. On 40s, trophy truck wheelbase, 125, and then it's Mason parts. It's all-wheel drive, portals, diff, key case.
That's
and
insane.
double Pro Chargers on the Aventador V12.
Wow.
Running off the belts, and then like a 12-to-1 coming out the roof.
Oh my God.
That thing is gonna be unreal.
So I'm like, hell yeah.
Like I got tingles thinking about the sound that thing is gonna create alone.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We'll just have them on low boost, but it would be nice. Like the Aventador V12, we were gonna run just an NA motor like that, and it makes sense to have like this one with a littler motor and then the big V12 in the bigger truck. But the dual Pro Chargers will just give it a little bit of that boost, but they'll just be low.
Yeah.
But nobody's done a 12-to-1 on those ever.
Oh no, I don't think I've ever seen.
Not that I have.
No.
I don't know. So whatever, because those engines already sound insane.
Wow.
So whatever that 12-to-1 does to that, I don't like. That's going to be diabolical.
Yeah.
That'll be a piece of work for sure.
Yeah.
12-to-1. But I guess you're gonna have you're gonna have more space to play with, right?
Not in an SUV.
No, but it's a big Range Rover now.
It is, but it's like the same width as a Silverado.
Oh really?
Yeah. So, and we're not going to we talked about widening the cab already.
Yeah.
But if we widen it, it's going to take away from that wide body look.
Yeah.
Like it would literally be like the fenders would be the same. And they just tuck a 40, and then you're not getting that. You need that presence of like wheel opening arches and stuff.
Curve appeal.
Yeah.
That's gonna be so cool. And so, are you gonna start that when are you gonna start? Like, what's your timeline to start that? Finish this one?
No,
or
I'm going to transition into it because we don't need the chassis table. We have another like F250 we're doing, but I have the intention of having everything like the whole chassis done and the suspension done and ready for assembly in 5 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can start building it and calling them to start putting the chassis together. But I got to draw the upper arms for that. I got to draw the lower arms for that. I got to draw the trailing arms for that. So they'll be all the same style as that, but they're going to be 3 times as big.
Cool. That's so cool. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait to see 2 of them. I want to see 2 of them.
Oh,
then we're going to have like this little Velar.
Yeah.
And then like the big
brother.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
so that's something to look forward to. Everyone's gonna need to follow Morgan Clarke Design.
Yeah. It's gonna be so cool. And like that's wild that you're doing this to a brand new Range Rover.
Well, we're not like we're just gonna buy the parts.
Okay.
Because I don't want to do that. Those things are like 200 plus.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm like, oh my god.
So it'll look like that, but it'll just be carbon door sill and rockers and stuff.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Looking forward to seeing that.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
And that's part of what we're gonna do is there's a way you could do that where you don't even know that it's a Range Rover because until you put the door sill on and the doors, you're like, oh, I'm just building an SUV. So we're gonna get all the carbon going first. So then when we do assemble it on the chassis table, like we have that proof of concept.
Yeah.
Because I think that gives people, and even our shop, we're gonna know like what we're building instead of just this skeletal system.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Incredible.
Comment should be fun on that one. That's not a Range Rover.
It's not a real one. It's not a real one. You should have cut up a perfectly good one.
Yeah.
The same comments of why would you cut the other one up
Yeah.
will be why didn't you cut the other one up?
Yeah. No matter what you do, you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, have you seen? Do you know Mike Burrows from Stanceworks?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So he's doing an F40.
I know. I just found his I think I'm behind the times, but I just found his channel.
No
'Cause
way.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Laying in bed, and I'm like that, and I just clicked it. I'm like, oh, this guy's cool. Like he does badass shit, and his content is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. He acquired all those body
All the
panels, and then
parts,
he's
yeah.
got a tube chassis.
Yeah.
So that should be sick.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And like it's interesting, like because he's getting all kind of hate, as you might suspect.
It's not a real F40.
They're like, oh, why would you do that, or fucking whatever. But yeah, he's a great content creator.
Sure.
And it's really cool to see his evolution of skill set and project development. Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. But I think we're probably gonna cut it
figured that.
short. Yeah.
I'm like, I know
It's 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Yeah. But I think because we are still gonna be in contact, we're still gonna speak, and I'm sure as your projects, even with this thing evolves, like we'll probably get you on again and chat about that. And with this V12 Range Rover, I can't even wrap my head around it, but we're gonna have to have you on again.
we got that, and then we're gonna do a Mustang for Ryan too. Old fastback.
Okay. So transitioning into cars into
Well, the Blackbird's the
Garage?
transition.
Yeah,
That'll be his. He's gonna do a fiberglass cab. He ordered like this full fiberglass cab, like fastback 68 thing. I don't know who makes that, but it's like a complete cab, body shell, all the stuff. So we're gonna transition that into like a tube chassis, lightweight thing.
Sweet.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how you design and execute that one.
Yeah,
It should be interesting.
me too.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, that's cool. Awesome.
Well, thank you, guys.
Yeah, with that said, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for coming on.
Of course.
Yeah, we're so glad that we finally got to see each other in person, and after we've been chatting online on the Instagrams and things for a few months now. But yeah, we will see you guys later. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you do not know Morgan, you need to go to his Instagram account, check it out. He posts literally everything of the process of building this Range Rover, the car prototype.
Whatever you want to do as well.
Yeah, and so with that said, thank you guys again. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Cheers.